Hi everyone, welcome to Thoughtful Thursdays on Nareen's Life with MS. I am Nareen, and for this Thoughtful Thursday, I did want to ask something that I definitely know I feel. I don't know about other people, but one thing I realized was that having a condition like MS, I tend to feel older than I am, right? We all celebrated my 34th birthday, so I turned 33 this year. And despite knowing that that's my age, I somehow feel like I'm probably 66 or older. And there are a couple of reasons for that. I'd say one of them is just, the phantom pains that just come and go whenever they please. Unfortunately, there are certain things that, people of the actual age can do. I believe a lot of them have the ability to, you know, tell what the weather is like because something or the other happens. And I don't have that superpower yet, but I think a lot of that feeling old comes from the fact that there are certain physical limits that definitely get reduced to a very large amount when you have MS, right? I even remember maybe about 10 years back that I'd set my limit in terms of walking to be maybe a couple of kilometers, maybe 3 at the most. And now I don't know if I can maybe hit the 100 to 200 meter mark, and not complain about it or cry about it. So sometimes and when I say 66, I think I mean 99 for that matter, now that I think about it. Because it's conditions like this where suddenly you realize that because your body is not physically able to keep up with you, you kind of get pigeonholed into maybe an older age group than you should be, right? And of course there's nothing there are a lot of times where I also feel like maybe all of this should have been white before already. But more than that, I think it just ends up being one of those things where your brain can be young, but everything else in your body is just telling you that maybe that's not the case, right? And of course, despite being or trying to be as active as possible, or trying to think as much as possible, it you tend to realize, or at least I tend to realize, that MS is one of those conditions where it impacts the entire body. And while you might feel young, right, your body is just like, well, maybe not that young. And then your brain goes, oh right, you forgot what you had for breakfast today. So so it's at least affecting you on more than one level when you're trying to reason with yourself that your age is not that old, right? So given what the kind of uh, funny thing that it is, and knowing that my body is going to at least be like this for at least the currently, right? And I don't know when the change will happen. I wanted to turn the question over to you as to, do you actually feel older in your body than you are currently? And this might actually be something that, goes outside of, just having MS. I mean, a lot of times, people feel like, okay, 30s maybe brushing, but brushing a certain boundary into, not even middle age, just old age as such, right? I mean, there are so many memes out there comparing people in their 30s to, people in their 70s. And we have to know that, there's still 40 years in between, me right now as a 33-year-old and me turning into an actual person which will have, all of those issues for real, right? To be in that, um, you know, old age sort of terminology. And even when I say this, I mean, obviously there are certain generations above mine, and me being a millennial at that, there are certain generations, I think Gen X, definitely the baby boomers, who are kind of showing that, even 60 is not that old, even 70 might not even be that old, right? I mean, we have people like Jane Fonda, for example, who honestly looks just as good as, herself when she was making those exercise tapes. And I do remember having 2 or 3 of them all on VHS. So, it was the time of using VHS tapes when she had maybe recorded them, and there is very little to no change in, what she can do. So honestly, like, me feeling this old, I want to know if it's maybe not only just a medical condition thing, maybe it's a generational thing that, the millennials are, just realizing that, okay, fine, it's maybe time to, start asking for, start getting into the retirement funds and, retiring a little earlier than we should have. So yeah, do share your insights, do share your comments, because I think this is going to be a very interesting topic to actually start a conversation on. That, is it maybe my condition that makes me feel a little bit older than I am? Or maybe is it a generational thing, right? Especially considering that there are certain generations, right above mine or the one before that, that are kind of showing the exact opposite, that, 50 is not an old age, 60 is not an old age, 70 is not an old age, even 80 is not an old age. So yeah, do share your insights. I mean, I would love to start this conversation with everyone. So yeah, do share your comments. And with that being said, this is Nareen's Life with MS. I am Nareen, and I just want to say that hopefully you had a great Thursday. You're all ready to, welcome the weekend. And with that being said, I am very excited for tomorrow, because I get to research content, and it's definitely a lot more multiple sclerosis themed material that is going to be out tomorrow. So with that said, good night, sweet dreams, and bye.